If you're like me and you love seeing how other people reach their goals, or if you're like me and you feel like you're not the stereotypical type A person, but you still love getting stuff done, then this video is for you. I'm going to share a very flexible way that I plan my month, and you can adjust it to plan your own, but it's very minimal and simple and not overwhelming, but still fun. Last week, I shared the first step that really helped me change my everyday life. And so I wanted to take it further to show how I apply that throughout the month and how I stay consistent as a creative person who doesn't want this rigid schedule with everything blocked out. I want to kind of do what I feel like doing in the moment and still accomplish goals and get things done. So let me show you how I do that. So basically I start with my list. You can go watch that video about just writing out things you want to do weekly and things you want to do monthly and why that's so important and what things to include on these lists. But I am going to share how I set up my planner. This is the one that I created based on how I've been using my monthly planner since 2017. And I have tweaked it and gotten it to where it is today. This journal has like a table of contents and page numbers because I think that's so helpful, and it's much easier to type out and put the page numbers than to write them yourself. So I'm too lazy to write them myself, but I can put it in a Word document and so that you can refer back to certain pages that you want throughout the year that you think you'll go back to multiple times. So at the top of the page on the right hand side, it has month and year. And I used to just put the month, but then I realized I would flip back because this holds 5 years worth. So I would flip back and I'd be like, wait, which year is this? And I'd have to go back because I would only put it with January or whenever I'm starting in the middle of the journal. So that is the good thing about this. It's not dated, so you can start whenever throughout the year. It doesn't just have to be January, or it doesn't have to just be August for the school year or whatever. It can be any time. And you can take breaks and you're not wasting pages because it's pretty much blank. Like you could use this just as a journal if you wanted to, especially if you like tried it and were like, I don't love the system as much as I thought. You could just use it as a journal or note-taking thing, or just like a regular notebook. So put the month and the year, but then I also put in the top right-hand corner my word for the year, which maybe you don't do that. Like if you don't have a word for the year, that's okay. But my word for this year is consistency, and writing that down every single month has actually been really helpful. But it doesn't have a specific place for that. I just do that on my own and thought you might want to know. I also used to put like an inspirational person, so like Mr. Rogers, and then I watched his movie that month, and so like something that inspires you. But there is a place that says goal, and so I put one goal for the month, and this is something that changes every month, and it's something like create a photo book. So you don't have to do that every month, but it's something you want to get done and you want to mark off of your list, and no one else is gonna make you do it. So I put that one there, and if like sometimes I won't get to it that month, but I'll put it on the next month. But I try not to take it over to a third month, because by that point, if I haven't done it in 2 months, then it's probably not as much of a priority as I thought, or maybe I'll come back to it some other time. Under that, there's nothing written already, but I fill in things like things that I do weekly. So from my weekly list, if I know my schedule is going to be different for this month, then I won't transfer those things that I know I'm not going to do weekly. But one thing I do weekly is send out an email newsletter. And so I always have that here. And because there are 4 weeks, I put 4 check boxes to make sure I'm doing it every single week. And same for like YouTube videos and that kind of thing. And then mailing a letter and a package is on there, and I leave space where I can write who I'm gonna mail stuff to, and sometimes I'll even write what gift I'm going to send them or what occasion it's for. And then below that, I just put read. I could put books, but I think putting the action word of read is more helpful because it's like encouraging you to read instead of just listing books. So they're really books that I want to read. So I will put those, and I don't always get to them that month, but maybe I'm on August. I'll go back to July and check that book off after I've read it, even if it was in August. Like, that part doesn't bother me, but I do write down what number book it is for me that year. So I'm up to like 63 this year, and it really helps me to read more and stay excited about reading. And sometimes I will skip a book and not read it at all. Sometimes I'll start it and not finish it, and I don't count those. So that's really all that I put on that page, and I keep it simple on purpose because I don't want this list to be overwhelming. And I do have other lists, like daily to-do lists and my calendar with actual dates of places I need to be and that kind of thing. That is something separate. I can do another video about that some other time, but I keep this one simple because I have those other obligations and things, and this I want to keep fun and exciting. But then the other side of the page is things to remember, and half of it is unlined because I do like to draw or doodle sometimes and practice, but you could also just draw a box and write something else and make that a different section, something that meets your needs. So I really wanted to keep this flexible, and even as my life is changing and I find another use for this little box, then I can do that, and it just makes it stand out a little more because it is something different. And for this page, I include things like quotes that I find throughout the month from reading a book or article or whatever, and even like maybe a movie, and I'll write it down because in my weekly emails that I send, I include a quote, and so it's helpful if I just already have one right there and know where to look for it, and I can just type it up and there it is. I'll also include things that I hear, like, oh, that sounds like a good mantra for my life, like I love this theme or idea and I want to think about that more. But I'll also include things I want to remember, like things that happened that I thought were cute and things that were nice, or if someone compliments me. So I'll give a couple of examples. On the phone, my mom was like, I love hearing you giggle, so I decided to call you instead of just texting you this story. I thought that was super cute, so I wrote that down. I probably would not remember that if I had not written it down. And same for this next story. I got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom or something, and I came back and I laid down and I was like, oh man, my pillow has gotten really flat. I need to switch it out, and just, I've probably used it so much. And I already like them to be kind of thin, so it's fine, but it's probably time to change. I was thinking all of this, and then my husband passes the pillow back over to me because he had taken it, and I did not even realize it. I was laying flat on just the bed, and so I thought that was really funny, especially when sometimes, I mean, we've been married almost 7 years, and it can just feel like, are we getting boring or whatever, I don't know. So I just hold on to these cute little moments and like to remember that. I just thought that was so funny he did that, because I mean, I get up to go to the bathroom a lot and he doesn't do that. So that was just something unique that I wanted to remember. And it is so fun. Like I said, this can last 5 years, and it's like so slim and small. I love it. So I can take it a lot of places, like even if I'm traveling, it's not too bulky or heavy. But also, I can flip back to 3 years ago and read these stories and remember some of the things that I was doing at the time. So that has been really nice and helpful. So because I typically talk about decluttering, I wanted to show you how you can use this to plan your decluttering too. And I have that whole video, the 30-day method, and my entire 6-month plan for decluttering, and all the checklists and everything. But you can combine that with this and put the goal for month 1, like say it's August, you can put the goal as clothing, but then I take it a step further, and for my main goal, I put like 15 check boxes sometimes. And it's okay if you don't know exactly how many check boxes. Like, I just kind of think of it as, okay, how many 10 to 15 minute tasks will go into this one thing? So clothing, you can have tons, because you can do one task of going through socks, one going through swimsuits, one going through winter coats, one going through shorts. dresses, skirts. So there are tons. And then you can also include like setting up a donation box, actually taking the donations. So add lots of check boxes, and then anytime you work on that goal, mark off one of those check boxes, and it really keeps you motivated and excited. And then another tip for this is to actually go and look at this frequently throughout the month and the week. So if you're like, okay, I have a few minutes, instead of grabbing your phone, grab this first and see, is there anything that I've done that I can mark off? And then what else do I have left that I can work on? Is there anything I feel like doing now? Or when could I do this? Do I feel like doing this later this week? How close am I to the end of the month? How much do I need to work to actually finish this? That kind of thing. So that's been really helpful. And if you haven't seen the 30-day method video, then I highly recommend going to watch that, because it will tell you the next month after clothing is entertainment. And so you could put that for September, the goal, declutter entertainment. So then put the 15 check boxes, and that can represent not just the broad categories of entertainment like books and DVDs and CDs and board games, but also individual shelves that hold any of those things. So anytime you declutter one single shelf of those items, then you can check off a box and mark that you have worked on that project and that goal. And even if you didn't do the whole thing, at least you are making progress and seeing your progress and getting closer and closer to your goal. At the end of each year, I like to do a review of the year and then set my annual goals for the next year. So I created those pages in the back, and there are 5 of them so that you can do this for 5 years. Then I also have a few quotes and questions in the back and the bottom to kind of inspire you to reach your goals. But I didn't want to put those on the main pages because I didn't want to distract from what you need to be putting there. So I consider this kind of a cross between a journal and a planner and kind of like a bullet journal. But having to come up with the whole entire layout, even though I think that's beautiful and kind of aspire to it, that overwhelms me, and I'm like, I just want to get the stuff done. I'll make it fun and pretty by using pretty colored inks. Like I don't need, and I do not color code them. That's also too complicated. I will get confused, and if I mess up once, then I'm annoyed. So I just use whatever color I want, and it just still adds color and fun to my life. And I also use the weekly goals and monthly goals list as a bookmark to know what page I'm on what month, and then I can flip to that quickly. But then I'm also seeing these frequently and being reminded of things that I really want to do. And it's okay to change this up if you realize, oh, I'm never doing that even though it's on this list and I'd rather just do something else, then that's okay. You can change that up. But this is actually a page from this journal. This was one of the bulleted pages. So you can write whatever you want, but I did a few sections of bullet pages just so you could practice if you're like me and like, I'm intrigued by bullet journals, but I don't want a whole entire bullet journal because I just don't think I will take the time to fill in all these details. But then if you do like it, then you know, like you can go buy a full bullet journal and have fun with that. But if not, you can just use it for notes and kind of use it like a regular page. Oh, you can also write on the front, and this is kind of messy because I smeared it. So either use a permanent marker or just let it dry more than I did, but it was also fountain pen ink, and so it left a little bit of a smudge, but I wrote like monthly planner or something here, but I didn't like it, and so I was noticing it was smearing, so I was like, let me see if I can wipe it off, and it did come off. So that's kind of cool. So you can kind of personalize it like that. And like I said, you can add to the table of contents if there's a certain page that you want to refer to, just list it here and add the page number. And then I wanted you to see also, like I did some fonts where you could color it in if you did want to add color. And so I do recommend like pencil pens that have more color to them, because my markers were kind of messy and like going out of the lines and everything. But these did really well. And also this pen holder that I bought is very thin, so it would not hold my fountain pens. Unfortunately, like it's kind of even difficult to get this one in and out, but at least I know it's not going anywhere, and I always have a pen with me. So it's still worth it to me. And someone did say in the reviews that they have peeled it up, and yes, it does tear the back of the page, but once you're done with this, it's like, doesn't matter that much. And then you can tape it to your next one and reuse it. So you're not having to buy another one every time. Since it is $5, I mean, kind of nice. I'll also link to this planner. It is on Amazon.